most stressful part of your life right now, watching one of your kids learn how to drive?
If you know my middle child, we should all be nervous that he's behind.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast presented by Provenzano's Deli and the Charger Athletics Fund. Our guest today is our head football coach, Chris Pincince. And as always, we thank you for joining us across all of our social media channels. And as always, our podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. JW Stewart, along with our UNH-AD, Dr. Z, Shane Zenger. Dr. Z, what an incredible last couple of weeks here on campus.
It has been. And when you're having any coach back for a repeat performance, that means things have gone well at the end of the season. So looking forward to that. But football's been front and center in that. So many of our sports have done well and had a lot of success. But anytime you win a championship, that you can't celebrate that too much. We just don't want to celebrate it too much too early. We've still got work to do, and I'm only saying what I know Coach is going to say. So I'm padding that a little bit.
Yeah, well, let's give credit where credit's due. Certainly, we'll talk plenty of football, but you mentioned it's been a successful season all the way around for the fall sports. Winter sports are underway now with basketball as well. But Coach Likens and the women's field hockey team, the 5th year of existence, they make the postseason for the first time and actually win a game.
Yeah, that's huge, and we've talked about that quite a bit. To go from 0 to 60 that fast, it is a tribute to her intensity and attention to detail and commitment to the
women's volleyball, number 2 seed in the NE10. But yeah, the big story here on campus has been the football team and what they've done. 9-1 overall this season, 8-0 in the NE10. Z, from your perspective, considering what this football team has done, coming off no season last year because of COVID, what do you think about what they've accomplished this year when you look at it through that lens?
Well, that lens complicates it even further. I just think the conversations Coach and I had last year, things he worried about and I worried about, if guys would be ready to go, what kind of team we'd have after the pandemic, et cetera, et cetera. He allowed me to speak to the team a little bit the other day after the selection show. And one of the things I didn't know I was going to say it, but I thanked those grad students. We have a lot of them who stuck around. I mean, we owe them a lot for their commitment to the program. But I'll dial it back to just basic fundamentals of competition. And I don't think the average layperson or fan understands this. It is hard to win. I don't care who you're playing. 4 quarters of football is long. And a lot of teams will get up in the first quarter, the second quarter, the whatever, but who's left standing at the end of the game? And I say that because I know Coach probably feels this way. The game up at Franklin Pierce, that was a trap game. And what the guys accomplished there with his leadership was pretty phenomenal. That team had nothing to lose, started slinging the ball around like crazy. And my favorite part of the whole game was the 9-minute drive offensively to eat up 9 of the 11 minutes in the last quarter, which left, the game, undisputed there at the end.
Z, last question to you before we bring Coach in. So UNH has a home playoff game. So not only do you make the Division II football national championship tournament, you get a home game as well as a 4 seed. What does that mean for this school?
That's huge. That's just a nice cap to the end of what's been a collaborative effort of the coaches, the players, the fans, the band. It's been a great atmosphere, and we were rewarded for that.
Later. So let's bring in Coach Chris Pincince. Coach Pince will unmute himself as he joins us from his office over on North Campus. Coach, it's the second time being on the podcast this year. I think you're in the lead now, 3 total in 2 years. We at this point, you might be hosting the podcast at some point.
I chose to stay. I chose to say yes when you asked me. I'm sure there was some might have chosen a different.
Leading up to an NCAA playoff game, what's this week looking like for you in terms of media interviews?
You're number one. So we got a couple of TV stations coming tomorrow. I got a radio show to do on Saturday morning. Typical for us is just getting that attention during maybe homecoming or the game against the team across the street or something like that. But the attention's on our kids. It's well deserved. Obviously we share a little bit of the spotlight with that game that's going to be played in the bowl this weekend. But those that truly care about the University of New Haven will be here watching us on the blue.
Coach, what is the last 2 weeks been like for you guys and the team?
The game against Bentley 2 weeks ago to clinch the championship, I thought was a great kind of ending to what these kids have gone through over the last 2 years, what they've invested, what they decided to do when they came back. I felt really, really good for the kids. And then that lasted about an hour and a half. And then we started to worry about the trip up to Franklin Pierce and all the logistics of that and playing in New Hampshire in November and in that environment that's to say the least, not as excitable as the one here on the blue would be an understatement. And our kids answered the bell up there as well. So a couple bumps in the road, but they did a great job. And then, the excitement of being able to sit there on Sunday and watch again these kids be rewarded for their hard work and their dedication. And that's just not our players that play on the game day for us. That's all the players invested in what we're doing. That's the coaching staff, their families, the administration here, the school in general, to get everybody here and back playing football again. I think it's a great statement that, we get to host an NCAA game here on Saturday.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, you win on the blue to win an NE10 championship. You go to Franklin Pierce, you avoid the trap game, you come back home. For our viewers and listeners' benefit, take us inside where you guys were on Sunday. Where were you guys? What were you doing? Where were you watching the selection show? And kind of set the scene for us when you guys finally saw that name come up on the screen.
Sunday, like a normal Sunday for us. So we were getting treatment in the training room. We lifted, we went out and practiced. We moved everything up a little bit so that we could all be together in the alumni lounge there on campus and watch the 5 o'clock selection show. It was great for the kids to be together. We had been through it in 2018 when we last made it. And as we sat there in 2018, we weren't sure our name was going to pop up there. So that was a little different. But
what do you think is going to be different about this opponent that you just faced 2 weeks ago?
I think both teams are, will obviously come ready to play as we did a couple of weeks ago. But from a scheme standpoint, we'll probably do some different things just because we just played them 2 weeks ago. I'm sure they'll do some different things. Maybe not, you try not to do too much new that's out of character for you. Just try to do what you do better. But I'm sure that the plays that worked for us won't work again on this Saturday, and same thing for them. We'll try to out coach those things. So ultimately, we're going to put it in the kids' hands, and I anticipate us playing very, very hard.
On the flip side, what do you think will be the same?
The outcome.
I like how Coach has our kids playing. They play with an edge. They compete hard, and you don't always see that celebration when they kind of leave it all out there. Well, they thoroughly enjoyed themselves for maybe 20 minutes, and then got back to work. The same thing was it's a selection show, and you saw some real enthusiasm and joy, at that moment, and then Coach got them back to work, was the way it ought to be. But it was neat to see those two moments.
Coach, what every team is unique. Every team is special. What do you think makes this particular group unique and special?
I think the way that they've come together and we've gotten better during the course of the year, you don't often see that. I think some of it has to do with that we were off for 2 years. Some of it has to do with that we had so many new faces coming in here and having a gel together. I think it's been wonderful to watch them, get to know each other at the same time, get to be better football players, and watching the different people every single week that have helped us win football games is very, very impressive. We thought we had accumulated some depth here. We thought that we had brought in more good players than maybe we had before, just from a depth standpoint. But just the fact that, we've been lucky with very few injuries. We've had some, but we have very few. But to watch the different faces, the different people that are making big plays in all three phases every single week. Maybe we had 3 different kids block punts this year. We had 4 different running backs rush for 100 yards in the game this year.
Yes. What could you, if 8-0, 9-1, again, on paper, it looks easy, although it's very, very hard. What could you relate this to life in terms of how hard or difficult it is to do what you guys have done?
I think when you invest in something, and that could be sports, that could be your education, it might be your job or how you're going to go about your daily life. When you invest in something and then build a relationship with the people around you, trust the people around you, and just do your job, it comes together sometimes. And when it happens, in a team situation with people from all over the country and different ages and started in different places and the unique roster that we've built here, it turns into a special situation. And then you got to remember that, there's a little bit of luck involved too. And every once in a while, the good things have to happen, for you to continue to win games. But it's the relationships and it's the trust that you build. And ultimately, you'll probably win more games than you lose if you do that.
On air, but 2 things that I think stand out on this team from where I watch is time of possession. I think is usually in our favor, and if not largely so. And the other is turnover margin. I'm amazed time and time again when we are able to get the ball back when we need to, and then control the ball.
It's something that every coaching staff in America at any level, from the professional down to Division III world, stresses. You stress ball security, you stress holding on to the ball, taking it away. Time of possession, because, obviously if we have the football, it's very hard for them to score. Talk about it in every meeting. We talk about it every practice. We practice taking the ball away. We practice holding on to the ball. But ultimately, it falls on the kids and them getting a responsibility to say that this is incredibly important to what we're doing right here. And the ball is the most important thing out there. Our defense has just done a great job. Different kids too, whether it's interceptions, whether it's caused fumbles, whether it's the D line doing it, the linebackers doing it, and multiple players in the secondary. It's been different kids, and you got to factor in the special teams part as well. The 3-block punts are game changers, the field position gainers, and then momentum changers at times. We had it happen in Franklin Pierce. We've had it happen in other games where maybe things weren't going great for us. One play like that happens, and it kind of rolls from there.
Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast presented by Provenzano's Deli and the Charger Athletics Fund. Our guest today is Chris Pincince, the football coach here at UNH, who's guided the Chargers to a Division II playoff berth. Coach, take us back to the summertime. What were the team's goals and how have you met those goals?
Our first goal was to win the NE10. The second goal was to win enough football games so that we continued to play past the regular season. We've done that. Now, basically, the third goal is to just keep coming to work every day. And if I know I got to go to work next Sunday, that means we did our job during the so we just want to keep working. We want to keep doing what we're supposed to do. And that's really, that's really all I can ask of these kids at this time.
And, give our viewers and listeners a sense of what your workday is like. How early are you here? How late are you here?
Make sure that I see my kids in the morning. I make sure I take my son's learning how to drive. So he drives me to school every day. I'm warning the people in North Haven that are listening to that. He drives me to high school every day. Today, I have my daughter in the car as well as my 17-year-old was driving the car. So we're holding on tight. I'm right to the office and, we work until the middle of the night. So there are things that we do as football coaches that are, because we're football coaches, we're trying to cross every T and dot every I and make sure we've covered everything. And sometimes when you play an opponent that you played 2-3 weeks ago, or you play an opponent that you know so well as Bentley, you start over-examining things and watching that game film. And ultimately we watch it until we feel good. So I'll be watching it right up until Friday night, probably.
I know you say you don't celebrate these victories very much, 20 minutes, hour and a half, whatever it is. What is it you do when you guys do celebrate?
You know what? I thank them. I don't ask the kids what they do when they celebrate. I probably don't want to know, but we do celebrate it in our own way. We're excited for every single one. And as Doc said, that there's upsets that happen out there. There's times where things don't happen your way. And in football, you only get at our level 10 opportunities that are given to you every single year that you're going to play. And we definitely take advantage of every single win. It's really hard to win any sporting event, but certainly a football game. And we have fun with it. We have fun with it in our own way. We enjoy every single win.
Have you taken a little bit of time this year to enjoy, at least sit back and think a little bit and take some pride and some joy in some of the wins?
For the kids, honestly, when you look at the kids, you're around the players, you're happy for them. Because ultimately at the end, people think sometimes they think you're a better player, they're a better coach, or you're a better person because you win a football game or something like that. And for these kids, to come back, in particular the 16 guys that chose to come back here for grad school, to have that investment rewarded for them is incredibly important. And so I feel for those guys that it happened well. There's been enough times along the way in everybody's life where you invest and you give it your best shot and it doesn't work out for you. And so sometimes when it works out for you, you feel a little bit better.
Coach, you were around, and some of the players were around for the last time that the Chargers made the Division II postseason. That was in 2018. What have you tried to communicate to the new guys on this team who did not experience that, either you or the players who did experience it? What's been the message to this group?
A lot is expected of you, but enjoy the moment. Enjoy the opportunity that's in front of you. And it's a little bit unique because we're playing Bentley, team that we know, team that we just played. It's not like, in the past where you play somebody that you haven't played before, haven't played in years. So I think we know our opponent a little bit more than usual when you enter the playoff run. But the excitement, the atmosphere, should be wonderful for our kids.
There are so many players. We could spend an hour going through all the players who contributed on this roster, the ones who play, the ones who, are on the practice squad, et cetera, JV team, so on and so forth. Are there some unsung heroes who don't get any publicity or little to no publicity that you'd like to talk about here on the podcast?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, our offensive line has been unbelievable. We've had basically 6 kids, if not 7 kids, that have played the majority of the year for us there. led by our captain, Mike Zucchini, our center. Fantastic football player, great kid, graduate student, going to get his master's degree at the end of the semester. Came back for his 6th year. He's been great at the center position. Our 3 guards that have played for us, and Mike Wilson and Mike Capicilli and Zach Donovan, have been very, very good football players for us. They do nothing but work hard. They spend the majority of the day, rehabbing, lifting, meeting, learning football. And then the 3 guys that have played tackle for us have been outstanding. Will Ayers has been a 2-year starter for us. John Tyrell has been a 2-year starter for us. In the last 4 games, we started Neil Brown, a true freshman from Amity High School. Those kids have been great. 7 out of the 8 of them are grad school students. Neil Brown's the non-grad school student that's in that group. So we're dealing with mature individuals that have gotten certainly better as we move forward. Against Franklin Pierce in game 1 of the season, we weren't very good. Against Bowie State in week 2, we weren't very good. That's an understatement. And then in the last month of the season, we've absolutely rode that offensive line, to the point where, like I said before, we've had 4 separate guys rush for 100 yards in a game. And we're averaging about 280, 290 yards rushing in the last month of the season. And it's totally because of the offensive line and the commitment of the kids, carrying the football, and include our tight ends and our wide receivers and that and stuff. But it's really those O-line kids that really got nothing from an accolade standpoint. No one talks about them. They're not winning any awards till the postseason ones come out here in a little while. But from a weekly award standpoint, all they do is throw themselves in hot tubs and ice tubs and get themselves back on the field.
It kind of makes me jealous that I'm on this side of the table these days, because when you're an administrator, you just don't get to know the guys like the coaches do. You watch from afar and you enjoy it. But having coached enough, the best part of it all is the relationships. And when you see young guys like that have success, that's what Coach keeps saying. That's what makes it. That's the best. You enjoy it for yourself and your staff and whatnot. But man, that I'm envious of that. What he gets to be a part of every day.
We get to do what we love to do. We get to do around a good collection of kids and players and staff, and we've had some success this year, which at the end of the day, is great for everybody involved. Hope everybody can come out. It's probably the last home game that we'll have this weekend, unless a lot of things fall into place in the future rounds. But it's probably the last home game that we're going to get to play here this year. We were away for 2 years, and this is home game number 7 of the season. And I hope that people come out and watch our kids. I hope they support our people the way they have all year, and come out and watch our guys play very, very hard against a really, really good opponent there at Bentley.
Since our head football coach here at the University of New Haven, NE10 champions, and on to the Division II playoffs game Saturday, 1 o'clock, Delacamer Stadium against Bentley. Coach Pince, as always, we appreciate you being here on the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast. We'll see you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Thanks, Coach.
Student athletes of the week, women's basketball. We mentioned the basketball season is already underway. Women's basketball, Aurora Deshays, who averaged a double-double, 15 points, 14 rebounds a game, and 2 season-opening wins, including tipping in the game-winning shot at the buzzer as UNH beat Georgian Court. Men's basketball, Devontre Thomas from Poughkeepsie, New York, my old stomping grounds, career-high 31 points and 10 rebounds in the season-opening win over the College of Staten Island, and he followed that up with 23 points and 7 rebounds in a win. Dr. Z, it's been a great season. As we've said so far, 6 home games. This will be the 7th on Saturday. We've had terrific crowds with everything that, the people who donate to the Charger Athletics Fund get, and all the football alums who come back. I would think on Saturday for a playoff game at home for the first time in 3 years, we should have another big crowd.
I would think so. And Coach was talking about being grateful to the players. And as we wrap up this session, I echo his sentiments. We're not here without what they've done. And grateful to them and the sacrifices they've made and the effort they put in, so on and so forth, especially those older guys who stuck around. Grateful to the fans. That's where I'm going with this. The folks who have come and made this one of the greatest football venues in our region. It's a lot of fun to be there on game day, and has really made my own personal experience really unique and special. And I've told you that from the morning to the late night, the alumni, and it's been a special year. With saying that, anytime you win like this, the weeks go faster and faster and faster. It seems like we just started, and here we are in postseason, and it feels so good to say that word, in postseason.
Yeah, it seems like, you're right. It seems like just August was yesterday, and here we are in November. It's going to be Thanksgiving in another week and the playoff football game. And if UNH is able to beat Bentley on Saturday. They would go on the road to face number 1 Kutztown.
Yep.
So, a lot still, is certainly up.
There aren't many teams with 2 losses that are in postseason. That's asking a lot. And I'm talking nationally. You go to the 4 regions. Yeah, I mean, you've got to either be undefeated or 1 loss only to make it. And that's, again, that just doesn't happen overnight. You don't see a lot of that at the highest level. And so I would argue it's almost harder in this niche to make postseason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It is very challenging. 28 teams make the Division II postseason, 7 in each region or super region. UNH 9-1 overall, 8-0 in the NE10, first NE10 championship under Coach Pincince's tenure. Earlier this season, he set the all-time wins record for coaches here. It's been a remarkable season. We hope it keeps going. The final a couple of weeks ago at home against Bentley on Senior Day was 31-14. That clinched the conference championship. We'll see what the score is as UNH and Bentley meet once again. That one loss, by the way, for New Haven was the second game of the season to Bowie State. Bowie State is also nationally ranked and also in the Division II tournament.
Yeah.
That's a game that, the 3 turnovers and as Coach mentioned, the offensive line didn't play all that well. That could have easily been a win as well. 8 wins in a row for the Chargers. Hope to make it 9 in a row on Saturday in the Division II football championship postseason. We'll see how the Chargers do as they host Bentley, 1 o'clock on Saturday, Delacamer Stadium. Thanks for joining us here on the Dr. Z and J-Dub podcast. For our producer, Broccoli Rob Thompson, for our executive producer, John Mays, for Dr. Z, I'm J-Dub. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at the playoff game on Saturday, everybody. Once again, this is the J-Dub, Dr. Z J-Dub podcast presented by Pincince, the Charger Athletics Fund, with an annual gift of $500 for Charger Athletics Fund.